I was just a little girl when I had the vision of changing the world. It's such a big vision. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what really it involved, but I knew I had to change the world somehow. And of course, as I grew up, I had things in life I wanted to achieve for myself. I wanted a proper education. I wanted a family. I wanted money. But somehow I still kept thinking about this childhood vision. And of course, being a product of war, I thought, there are kids out there that need a home, so I'm going to build an orphanage. I also thought, maybe I could just help in providing education for other people. Satisfying, but sometimes not enough. An event in my life happened that had the ability to break me. It didn't, thankfully. The word prostitute aroused every sense in my body. And I thought, no one really deserves to be called that name. What if I eradicate that word? What if I make it non-existent? So I started looking at Sierra Leone. I remembered all the girls I'd met years ago. Everyone I talked to. I remembered that they were sex workers. I remembered that they just lacked hope. I remembered they needed something to believe in. I saw how much they wanted to be successful. I saw how much they wanted a changed life. I saw the bruises on them, both physical and on their hearts. And immediately, my heart decided it was going to love them. What am I going to do? I kept pondering. And then I thought to myself, what if I am the one that creates a door for these women to walk through into a changed life? Too big an ambition. Maybe. I spoke to a lot of people, not knowing what to do or how to start or what steps to take. And some people were like, you know what? Nah, that's just too much. It's too ambitious to say you want to eradicate prostitution. No, it's not going to happen. But I had some other people that said, hey, great, go for it. That was my fuel. That was the very thing that made me take the second step. So I started saving money, not knowing exactly what I was going to do or when the right time to start was. And then I went to Sierra Leone, not knowing it was the thing to do. But that was quickly confirmed when I spoke to more girls that were sex workers, and one, the youngest, being 9, standing out there soliciting. And I thought, this is what I'm going to do. Now, I was crazy about it. I spoke to everyone. Everyone that had ears to listen, I made them listen. I didn't have the strategy, but I had the vision. I knew what I wanted to achieve. And eventually, people started saying things to me that made sense. Christophina, why don't you have an organization? Christophina, why don't you do A, B, and C to achieve your goals? I pulled strength from everyone around me. Everyone that had a talent that was relevant, I made use of it. I remembered I asked one of my friends that's an accountant, hey, if you were going to start a business or an organization, how would you run your accounts? And I listened closely to everything that he was saying. My dad is bishop of the Anglican Church, Sierra Leone. He tenured 17 years. He has a lot of experience. And I got sick of saying it all the time. You know what? I'm going to have an organization. I'm going to have an organization. And finally, I said to him, Daddy, you know what? We're going to sit down for 1 week and write a draft of the Constitution. And we did. And afterwards, he took me more seriously. We got to a point where I needed to start a committee. So I hosted lunches. I called my friends over. And the people I thought, were going to be helpful in making things happen, I spoke to them continually, trying to get them to commit to making this happen. And yes, we had a lot of problems. We had setbacks. I'm here in the United States. I'm studying. And everything I need to be done is in Sierra Leone. There's incoordination sometimes. We even had to change our name. We're now known as Call Me Lily. And wait a minute, I know you're probably thinking, what on earth is Call Me Lily? Why not call me a lily? Despite the fact that the beloved is described as a lily among the thorns, Solomon 2:2. Lilies are beautiful flowers. Throw their seeds on the floor or the ground. Spit on it. Walk all over it. Drive your car over it. But if that seed falls in good soil, it's going to grow in due season, and it's going to blossom into a beautiful flower. So why can't I call these girls Lily? Again, we don't know exactly how to make things happen. We're taking steps, one step at a time. Call Me Lily eventually would like to have a shelter to remove these girls from the streets and put them in a safe place, somewhere where they can be loved, somewhere where they can have a family or be part of a family. We want to provide education for those who need to go back to school or want to go back to school. We want to increase or boost their self-esteem. We want to provide a means for them to have some form of training so that they can be self-sustained. That could be catering, tailoring, hairdressing, whatever they feel that they can do to make their lives better. We want to encourage them to do that. Call Me Lily is also trying to prevent more girls from going into prostitution or the sex trade. And so we're utilizing youth ambassadors, girls that have the ability to speak to their friends or people around them and just talk to them and bring those who really need our attention to us. Call Me Lily is also trying to provide scholarships for girls that are in school, to keep them in school. There are many things we want to achieve, many lives we want to touch. But there's one thing that's standing in our way. One thing that keeps trying to spit in my face. That thing is Ebola. I'm sure you've all heard about Ebola by now. Ebola is not just a deadly killer. It's not just vicious and ruthless. It's tearing down everything. It's ruining lives, economies. Right now in Sierra Leone, the schools have shut. So kids are just home, idle. There's low activity at the ports. Flights aren't going as regularly as usual. The price of food has gone up. So I'm standing here and I'm like, I'm affected. I'm affected because I'm an African. I'm affected because I know that our kids are not getting an education. I'm not infected, but I am affected. I'm affected because my friend's mom passed away. I'm affected because my friend, a girl I called Lily, passed away less than 2 weeks ago. Ebola took her before her dreams and promises were fulfilled. She was buried in a mass grave as if she was never born. This is why I'm angry. And so I start asking myself, what if? What if I start a fight against Ebola? And then I'm like, oh, no, wait a minute. Christophina, you're here for school? You're a Ph.D. student. You're supposed to be thinking exclusively about your research, thiol-oxidative stress. You have a lot on your plate. You're a mom. How are you going to get all this done? But I shake those thoughts out of my head, and I remember what really needs to be done. And so I approached my advisor, Dr. Teresa Seafelt. He's my therapist, by the way. And I said to her on a number of occasions, Dr. Seafelt, I worked in the health system in Sierra Leone. I know what the problems are. I know what needs to be done. But how are we going to do it? We went back and forth on ideas. Then I contacted a friend and a mentor at Emory University, Dr. Kenneth Walker. And after many sleepless nights, tons of emails and phone calls with members of the government of Sierra Leone, Global Links, a 501c3 organization, dove straight into action, packing pallets consisting of 4,200 protective kits for health workers to use at the front line of Ebola in Sierra Leone. Wow. And then the CDC reports 1.4 million people to be affected in just Sierra Leone and Liberia alone in the next 3 months. That is a reality I don't want to face. And so what did I do? I thought to myself, more must be done. I mean, what if I reach more people? What if I do what I do best, just talk to people? So I approached the movers and shakers here in Brookings and on campus. I spoke to my dear friend, Dr. Nichols, Dean of the Honors College. I spoke to the Dean of the College of Pharmacy. I spoke to our past and present heads of departments. I spoke to my friends. And of course, Dr. Seafelt was right there. And as a result, I'm standing here in front of you. As a result, people know what's happening. As a result, I had the audience at the Million Cups. And one thing I'm most excited at this moment in time is that as a result of just talking to people, the SDSU, College of Pharmacy Students Associations, have decided to take this up as a service project. Oh yeah, and it's going national. That means 34,000 students by the end of this week will have their hands in fighting against Ebola. I'm not so scared anymore because I know people are here. I know I have your backing. I'm not a doctor or an epidemiologist or a public health specialist. What business do I have in fighting against Ebola? Tina, you're out of your league. Am I? I'm not a social worker or a guidance counselor. What business do I have in reforming the lives of sex workers? I'm just me. And love. Is that all it takes to change someone else's life? I have lots of questions still. I ask myself, what if I could sit down with Bill Clinton and discuss this global initiative? What if you started asking yourself from today, what is my passion? What if you take that first simple step toward changing the world around you? What if you realize that there's no formula or perfect timing? What if you know that you're not too young or too old to make a difference? What if you persevere? What if? Thank you.